Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to WarrenHayes' House of Mysteries. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and this is the Mr. Warren Hayes Show episode for the 7th of May, 2020. Guys, gals, we made it through a full week of May. My God, let's go for 3 more. 3 more weeks of May. Let's do it. I'm really looking forward to talking about professional wrestling. It's been a week, hasn't it? Holy smokes. It has been a week, but I'm really looking forward to talking pro wrestling here tonight, live here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes with everyone listening and everyone here live right here, because yes, indeed, the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is recorded live every Thursday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. That allows us to accrue a beautiful array of wonderful people who come into the chat and hang around all evening and have a good time, such as Tim Traver. How you doing, Tim? Throwback 27 is here as well. Good to see you. 2 very good friends of the show. Kelly is here as well. Kelly Toyenges. I'm gonna butcher it every week. This might actually become a thing, but thank you for being here, Kelly. Good to see you. Robert Larry as well is here. Benoit has joined the chat. Thomas Gories is here as well. Good to see you. Let's see, who else do we have? Going down the list, Patrick Mason has joined us here as well in the house. We've also got Rob Wilkins, who's popped in. What a sight for sore eyes. Droz is here as well. Aaron J's fan. We got JS Brown, who's here as well. Look at that. Carlos has joined us. Scott Frame, Peter Davies, JK Schwall, Scott Frame. My God. I feel blessed to have all of you here this evening, and the cool thing is that we can all gather here and maintain our social distancing without fear of infecting those close to us and therefore dying. Permanent Press, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. It's all fantastic stuff, and I want to thank you all for being here. And if you're already here and you feel like it, give the video a thumbs up. YouTube likes that kind of stuff. And if you're listening to this on your own accord, do consider giving the video a thumbs up as well. You can also wait later on, and then you watch it to the end and you're like, hey, you know what? This was pretty cool. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. That's an even cooler way to show that you're authentic with yourself and so on and so forth. So that's really cool. Or if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, well, then you can show some love there as well. Any way, shape, or form, a like, a review, a follow, a subscription, whatever you can do to show some love over on your podcast app. That is fantastic as well. And you're not quite sure where to find those podcast apps, you go to linktr.ee. That's linktr.ee/MrWarrenHayes, and you get everything. It's all in the description of the video. Don't forget that immediately after the show, over on patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes, it will be Warren is Off the Clock. And that's the post stream for patrons only, exclusively for patrons. I'm going to go back and talk about a topic that I wanted to cover last week, but at some point you just run out of time. And the post stream is a lot chiller. I talk a lot more with the chat. We interact a lot, so things go off on tangents. But I do want to talk about the use of technology in these trying times by major wrestling promotions. I also want to talk about how AEW and New Japan and this, where we're at right now with the state of the coronavirus, not the state of the coronavirus, but the state of social distancing and events opening back up and states in the U.S. opening back up for business. I want to touch on that a little bit, as it pertains to professional wrestling. So head on over there, patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. That's a great way to show support for the show. You can also show support for the show by leaving a super chat as well, and I will read your comment, question, mood, feeling on the air as well. Or you can also join the Mr. Warren Hayes YouTube channel as a member. On the channel page, there's a nice little button written join. You get you see Ben and Throwback in the chat right now. They're members. They have the little glasses symbol there to show that they're members. Plus, they have access to exclusive emojis that you can use in the live chat. I gotta tell you, if you're used to coming to the live chats here on the Mr. Warren Hayes show, it's good value. You should check that out. It's a good time. But yes, there's also super chats, and I've already got a couple. One from Throwback, again Throwback, with an extremely generous super chat. Thank you so very, very much. I'm going to split it up into two bits because there's one part of it that I'm going to talk about a little later in the show, but there's one that I can talk about right now. Talking about the hacker. He said that the WWE hacker, he said on Backstage, the hacker got on saying, "Let the games begin. Some people think it might be CM Punk. Who do you think it might be?" Speaking to me, of course. CM Punk makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense because of his past gimmick. It makes a lot, that he was the voice of the voiceless, so on and so forth. It makes sense that, he has a hoodie that's pulled over his head. CM Punk is a hoodie wearer. He's a hoodie man. It'd make sense. It'd be a hell of a reveal. I don't know. I don't feel it, though. I really don't think that there's much of a work here. I don't think CM Punk is really going to get back into the ring or anything like that. I still think it's Mustafa Ali. They kept Mustafa Ali off of TV for a long, long time. I still think it's it. Honestly, if they were pushing for CM Punk, I really do believe that they would go all in. 100% all in with the hacker and really, really push it hard. Got another super chat from Rob Wilkins. Thank you, Rob. Says, breaking news, Hardy and Omega are still driving. They're still trying to catch Sammy Guevara. Oh, we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. But by the way, Throwback, I'm going to get to the other point of your super chat later on when I do touch on that point specifically. Droz left a super chat as well. Thank you very much. Says, I was watching a 2000 episode of Raw and I remembered when Kevin Federline beat John Cena. And it pissed me off so bad. How about you? I didn't remember. Hey, Donald Gold, thank you for becoming a member. Thank you very much. Honestly, why? Here's the weirdest thing is a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking about Kevin Federline, and I don't ask me why, because I can't give you a proper reason. But a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking about Kevin Federline, and I was like, maybe I should do like a retro review of K-Fed's time in WWF, because it was remarkable. And I don't remember him beating John Cena. Now I really want to go back and see that. My God, by God. Tim Trevor left a super chat as well. Thank you very much, Tim. Says, thanks for keeping my mind off things. It's been a super hard week for me. Tim, I know you've had a very, very difficult week. I don't want to get into your personal business, but, my heart is out with you. My heart is with you. You're in my thoughts, to you and your entire family. I'm glad I'm able to do my little part to make you feel a little better. That's fantastic. This Saturday morning, doing a pay-per-view preview show, a pay-per-view predictions show. Saturday morning, 11 a.m. right here on the channel, and I will have as a special guest Foul Original. We've been chatting about this for a while. This is one of these guests that I've been trying to get on the show for a while now, and it just hasn't happened. I am thrilled to have Foul, who is going to be on this Saturday morning to talk about WWE Money in the Bank 2020, which is happening this Sunday. Really looking forward to the ladder match. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but hey, you know what? Really looking forward to it. Looking forward to having Foul on. It should be a great show. So mark it. The stream is already up there. If you want to go hit a reminder, go right ahead. 11 a.m. Saturday morning with Foul Original. You don't want to miss that. there's a lot of things you don't want to miss, such as the first full year of belltobells.com's existence. We're celebrating our first anniversary this year, and that is fantastic. Women's wrestling coverage, brand new year, brand new logo for the site, brand new look for the site. You should go check it out if you haven't already. Belltobells.com, that's BELLTOBELLES. And head up your girl, Kristen Ashley, on Twitter. Send her some congratulations. She's the brain trust behind it all. I don't know. I just bring the charm, I guess. That's pretty much it. But yeah, hey, I've talked enough all over the place right now. Did my intro. We did some super chats. Aaron J's fan, thank you for becoming a member. And that is going to lead us straight into the weekly wrestling inspection. Or is it? Hang on a second. that was a complete fail, Warren. Good job. Weekly wrestling inspection. All right, let's get... excuse me. Let's get to it then. We're going to start off by heading back to last Friday evening, and we're going to pull out some cool beans. We are going to pull out some fantastic cool beans. Yes, we are going to pull out some cool beans. Let me get my timer set up. There we go. Cool beans. Back on Friday, the Daniel Bryan, the whole opening segment match, Daniel Bryan and Baron Corbin thing, I thought was really good. I thought it was very well set up. Daniel Bryan started off the whole thing saying, 9 years ago, I couldn't even get booked on SmackDown, and I won Money in the Bank, and that kicked off my career. I thought it was a good idea for him to come out and cut that kind of promo, like sort of to underscore how important, the Money in the Bank match can be for someone's career. Like, he's the poster boy for that. That's absolutely fantastic. So he said himself, I kind of hope Drew Gulak could have secured a spot and create his own pivotal moment for his career, but obviously that's not going to happen. And then Baron Corbin comes out and starts to talk about his own stuff. And see, the thing with Baron Corbin is he starts talking and he just sucks all the energy out of the room, and that's the main issue I had with his promo. And it's the problem with Baron Corbin isn't his in-ring work, and it isn't the fact that he's not talented. It's the material he gives, and it's his delivery that sucks. And when you're in an environment where there is no audience, it is very, very easy to lose the energy of a moment. And Baron Corbin's arrival just deflated everything that your boy Daniel Bryan was doing. But hey, you know what? Unsurprisingly, they had a good match. And I say unsurprisingly because Baron Corbin works really well with smaller guys. This is consistent for him. He's able to have really good matches, and this was a good match. And I liked how both of them felt that they had scouted each other out. There was a really good story to this where they both seem ready for each other's moves. Bryan more so than Baron Corbin. The best example of this was the spot where Daniel Bryan whips Corbin into the ropes, runs the corner, and then does the top, jumps on the top turnbuckle to do his backflip. As he's doing that, Baron Corbin is like, haha, I saw this coming. And he runs to the outside to do the boss man post spot, grab the post and then run back in. But as he's doing it, Daniel Bryan, as he's running around, Daniel Bryan sees him coming up. He has him scouted and dives out of the ring onto Corbin. That was fantastic. I loved that counter move. All those little counters there was a great little sequence. Match comes to an end when Baron Corbin throws the match by tossing a ladder on Daniel Bryan, and he's like, "Why am I disqualified, you dummy? Is this your first encounter with professional wrestling ever? You dummy. Dummy. You know, it's dumb. It's just dumb. So yeah, and Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro, clearly they're minions for just about anyone now. They run in to spoil the whole thing. But it was, you know what? I liked it. It was a very effective opening segment, and I dug it. It was good. Want to say hello to Kristen Ashley, who's joined us in the chat. How you doing? Peter Davies, did I say hi to you? I don't remember. Well, consider yourself saluted twice if that is the case. Carter McCabe, how you doing? Phil, nice to see you. And yeah, there you go. DGMC is here. Good to see everyone here. Throwback left us a super chat. Do you think with everything happening with COVID, WWE and the WWE talent outrage of it, do you think the possibility that WWE will unionize like the NBA and NFL? He also says it was fun talking to Rob and Sean, and I'm hoping Kristen and you can join soon. Me too. Just didn't quite work out, but we'll make it happen. As far as the unionizing thing, I might talk. Let's keep this for towards the end of the show when I get into the when I sort of pass out the weekly recap. We'll do that. And Throwback left us another super chat. Throwback. And he talks about Otis. I'm going to talk about Otis actually right now, where he says Otis needs to win. It would further the story. And then Dolph can, for Otis to choose love or career, can force Otis to choose love or career. That sounds good. Sure. There's a lot of possibilities in this angle, which I really like, because that's what a good angle will do for you. And we saw more of these possibilities be created for themselves, and this is one of them, when we saw Mandy versus Carmella, which was cool beans for me on Friday. I gotta tell you guys, as it stands right now, I think Mandy Rose might be the smartest babyface in the entire WWE roster, because Sonya Deville came out, her music hit, she started talking, but you know what Mandy did? She continued wrestling. She didn't drop everything and then turn over to the ramp and started staring at Sonya while Carmella was still in the ring. No, she kept her focus. Now, that's not something you see every day. Right now, right here and now, I posit unto thee that Mandy Rose is the smartest babyface in the entire World Wrestling Entertainment roster just for doing that. And I loved Sonya's promo. Her promo was extraordinary because, last year, lest we forget, Sonya gave up her spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. She gave it to Mandy, right? Like Sonya's character has all the reasons to be hurt and broken up over Mandy. Like, she's right, correct? She's right, and there's nothing better than a heel. That's right. But man, the cream on top of all of this was the post-match beatdown, though, that Sonya gave Mandy. My God, those stiff elbows to Mandy's face, and she launches her out to the outside of the ring, slams her into the ring post, then into the stairs, then hits a hell of a knee to the back of Mandy's head. Mandy's dead. She's dead. You put the only problem I have with this feud moving forward here is that they're booking the match for SmackDown, and I'm like, put it on the pay-per-view, you cowards. What the hell? Why is this not on the pay-per-view? So I'm crossing my fingers that it might turn out to be a swerve and that we'll get the match at the pay-per-view, because I think that's where it belongs. Ultimately, it belongs on the pay-per-view. Carmella being in the Money in the Bank match, cool. Yes, Carmella's good at what she does. She's a former winner. She's a former champion. It works. I like it. And all of this ties in really, really well with the rest of the Otis stuff. Otis and Dolph had a match later on in the evening. Otis advances. Dolph is acting more and more like a jilted lover. He's man. I love the moment where Otis and Dolph met outside the trainer's room, and Dolph was like, "How's Mandy?" and Otis was just staring him down. And It was good stuff. It's all good stuff. And they're making a heel out of Sonya. And they're making Dolph relevant. They got Otis over. Mandy is over. This is good stuff. I wish WWE was all as good as this angle from top to bottom, because they're hitting it with all on all cylinders here. Want to say hello to One Fall Podcast. How you doing? Jason PS3? Yeah, I think I said hello to you, but hey, Kirby Freeman. How you doing? So there we go. Next, let's talk really quickly over to Raw this week. Man, I don't know who decided that it was a good idea to get. No, let me rephrase that. Let me start over. Man, is anyone here an MVP guy or gal? I've never been a big MVP guy myself or gal. To me, he's just one of these. He's a throwaway competitor from a very odd moment in WWE history, right? He comes back. They put him in this position where he's managing average tag teams and he's got his own talk show, and I don't know. But outside of that, the MVP lounge segment with Shayna, Asuka, and Nia Jax was boring. It's hot trash because you have three way too talented women in the ring, and this is all you have to give them. This is what you're gonna do. Just have them sit around and then have Nia fall off a table. It's bullshit. That on your go home show, complete garbage. I hated it. I highly disliked it. However, we're going to move on to some warm soda as we talk about the gauntlet match. Now, I have very mixed feelings about the gauntlet match, mostly because I'm making a lot of sounds with my mouth tonight, but mostly I know their idea here was to run as many people as possible, and one of the objectives of the gauntlet match was to get Bobby Lashley over. Bobby Lashley should always be booked like he was booked on Monday, running through guys. That's what he's supposed to do. You want Bobby Lashley to be considered a top guy, a main eventer, a legitimate threat. You don't have him do military obstacle courses. You have him plow through dudes. So I get it. But the drama in a gauntlet match is knowing how many competitors are in. You don't have to know who is in. That can be a surprise. But knowing that there are 4 or 6 or 9 competitors, whatever, that adds to the drama, because that's when you can start building your Iron Man performance. If you have a wrestler that you want to put over, as a tough as nails babyface, who went through most of the pack to get to this point, but ultimately fails. Well, you have to know how many people are left down the line. You have to know. Bobby Lashley goes through 3 guys to begin with, and I'm like, okay, so we're up to 4. How many competitors are in here? 5, 6? Is this going? There's no drama to it. It's just a sequence of matches, and it's psychological. But since you know what the destination is, you just go for it, right? So I mean, mixed short work of Titus O'Neil to be expected, with Akira Tozawa to be expected. Shelton Benjamin gets some offense in. That's pretty good. And then they have Humberto come in, who has a t-shirt. His thing is Dale Gas, but it really looks like Dale Gas on it. Like maybe that should be his name. Maybe he'd get over more. Anyway, and then, at this point I'm like, maybe Humberto is the last entrant in the gauntlet match. Turns out it wasn't. He had a good sequence with Angel Garza, but we knew it'd be a good sequence with Angel Garza because we've seen them wrestle before, and it was good. He beats Garza, he beats Austin Theory, and finally we have AJ Styles come out, and then suddenly we know here's the last competitor. Oh, Oh, so you knew all along how many competitors were going to be in the gauntlet match. Why didn't you let us know? So, of course, when AJ Styles comes out, then you go, oh, there you go. That's the thing. I mean, it was okay. It was fine. I feel like it could have gotten a lot more into it if I think a smaller field of guys with a fixed number is always the way to go with a proper gauntlet match if you want people to get into it. But like I said, I understand what they wanted to do with it at first. Get Bobby Lashley over. He was not disqualified, but yeah, he was disqualified. Yeah, because he wasn't listening to the referee, naughty boy. So Karrion tapped out to the calf crusher. Styles is the final man in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Good for him. Good for him. Let's move on. Let's keep some warm soda going here. Let's keep some warm soda because we're going to talk about Liv versus Charlotte. I am I'm part of a popular consensus that I don't think this match needed to happen. Oh, by the way, Goodfella 1422. How are you? Just turned my head and was like, oh wait, how you doing? Okay. Liv and Charlotte. Excuse me, lost my train of thought. Liv and Charlotte here. The first question is, why did it have to? It didn't have to take place. You didn't have to have this match at this point. You build Liv. You build Liv so that eventually she does get. I know I'm parroting Sean Ross Sapp here, but the thing is that I have the exact same view. The idea of a money match, of a match that will get people interested, is if you take two people who are contenders, a champion and a contender, who haven't touched each other, who haven't been in contact with each other, you build both of them up, and then you get to the match, and then that's your payoff. That's what gets interesting. Liv has enough of an organic fan base to be able to do this. You give her some proper matches. You don't 50-50 her. You give her some winning matches week after week. You put her up against PC ladies. You give her some wins over some higher tier women. You put her into some strong matches, then give us the match against Charlotte. Not on a Monday Night Raw where we know everything is going to be thrown away. Not that the match wasn't good. Not that Liv didn't look good. And no, I don't believe Liv was buried. If you want to know the definition of what a burial is, look, WWE will bury people by not putting them on TV. They will not bury people by putting them on television. The people that they want off of TV are the people they're going to want to bury. Mike Bennett recently said it in an interview with Sean Ross Sapp. He recently said it. Most people don't understand the definition of a burial. He even went as far as to say minutes on network television are so expensive and are an investment for a company. They are not going to put people on television that they don't want to see there, that they want to sink. They want to put their best foot forward. They want to put people that they are going to want to promote, want to push forward. Liv did not get buried at all, and Charlotte made her look good. They had a good match together. Now, if this was, I will say this: if we were in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and this was New Japan Pro Wrestling type booking that we had here, we would probably be at the onset of a very long form storyline where Liv gets to fight the champ, comes up short, but every time after she fights Charlotte, she learns a little something and she has to work her way into finally defeating Charlotte. This is the template of Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega, and so many other feuds in New Japan. Just recently, last year, we had Okada and Sanada. It's actually still ongoing. Every time Sanada gets into the ring with Okada, he learns a little more. He tries out something else. The match is different because he learns. But then Okada learns as well. But this is WWE. So, of course, this has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with Liv proving herself. Hell, if getting championship matches and getting pushes was about proving yourself. Aleister Black should have all the titles right now. He's won 82% wait, hang on a second. Not 82, 88% of his matches in 2020. He's won 88% of his matches in 2020. Why isn't this guy in contention for the title? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't jive for me. Anywho, this was really good. It was a good match, but as Liv, and it's funny because there's so many people out there. Bobarooski, how you doing? There's so many people out there who tweet out to me and are like, "What do you think of Liv Morgan? Are you a fan? Does she have a? Do you think that she's championship material?" So many people. She has such an organic fan base, and the answer to all those questions is yes. I like Liv Morgan. Yes, I believe she has potential. Yes, I think she's a good babyface. They just have to invest into her, make her a star, make her into something that we will want to get behind, that we will feel like there's a reason to attach ourselves to this person, to this wrestler. No one wants to back a loser. I keep using the Apollo Crews example, but Apollo Crews, his booking, not the guy, but Apollo Crews' booking in WWE has taught us to not get behind Apollo Crews, because no matter how many times this is the push, oh, this is his time, it's his time in the sun, it never happens. He always starts losing matches and is relegated to jobber status and then disappears off TV for months. So if they believe in Liv and they want Liv to get over, by God, have her win matches, have her build her way up to winning big matches. They have a star on her hand. She's relatable. Like I said, there's an organic fan base to her right now out there. There's a lot of goodwill that exists towards Liv Morgan. Capitalize on it, for fuck's sake. More cool beans. Let's go to cool beans now. Karrion Kross's entrance on NXT. My God! Scarlett Bordeaux lip syncing. My God. It was great. Don't get me wrong. The entrance was absolutely fantastic. It is the type of spectacle that you expect from WWE, right? Amazing stuff. Scarlett lip syncing with the camera in her face the whole way. Not gonna lie, it was a little cringe. It was a lot cringe. Blue Riot, how you doing? It was over the top, and I don't think it was good. And Scarlett Bordeaux went on Twitter and confirmed that she actually sung the lyrics. Like, it's her voice. And I'm like, wow, okay, lady's got a pair of pipes on her. It works. She's very a very good singer. But lip syncing is lip syncing. And to me, it never works. And it's very, very cringe. Look, even Taichi in New Japan has given up lip syncing his entrance a long time ago. He just walks with the microphone up against his lips so that he doesn't have to do it anymore. But other than that, like, to me, it's a nitpick, because the entire spectacle of Karrion Kross's entrance is amazing. And if you guys had any doubt, guys and gals, if you had any doubt as to whether WWE was going to treat this guy like a star, if you were wondering if they saw the potential that Killer Kross has, if you had any doubt, all erased, completely erased, because not only did they give him a royal treatment of an entrance, but they gave him jobber extraordinaire, enhancement talent par excellence, Leon Ruff, who has been losing systematically on every show WWE has, but in grand fashion, making his opponents look like $1 million. Leon Rush is the guy Sheamus squashed magnificently last Friday, and they feed him to Killer Kross. They wanted him to look good. They know what Ruff is capable of doing. It's fantastic stuff. I loved it. It was a glorious, glorious squash. And Karrion Kross is going to be absolutely fine. Let's move on to AEW. I'm running a little over my time here, but there's a couple of things I do want to talk about. The Lance Archer, Brandy, Jake the Snake angle. You saw the match against QT Marshall. Lance Archer plows through him. That's the thing. Marshall tries to muster up some offense. Doesn't quite work out. It's good stuff. I liked it. He hit a pescado. Marshall did, but Lance caught him and chokeslammed him on the apron. Britt Baker attacks Brandy after the on ringside, not after the match, but at ringside, takes her out. And then after the match, Jake the Snake Roberts, who's with Lance Archer, Britt Baker shoves Brandy into the ring and Lance Archer drags her to the middle, and Jake the Snake has a baby Damien, or at least a Damien Jr. He's got the spawn of Damien, and he lays the snake over Brandy and he fools around with it and he does some weird shit with Brandy. I'm going to tell you guys, I don't know how you felt, but I felt extremely uncomfortable watching it. And it was okay. That's how we were supposed to feel. It was supposed to be a very weird, very odd, very strange moment in time. And that's exactly what we got. I don't think Jake Roberts would have gone to the lengths that he did with the boss's wife unless everything was cleared, and this is precisely the angle they wanted to go with. I thought it was really good. My nitpick, where the fuck was Cody? Where the hell was Cody Rhodes? He didn't run out. Tony Schiavone was saying, he's in the shower or something like that, or he needs a golf cart, whatever. He didn't run in to save his wife at all. No one went and rapped on the shower door and was like, Cody, your wife. It was weird. But what a good psychologically troubling moment. And it made my skin crawl, but it was good. It was a good kind of skin crawl. I liked it. And I like that they're pushing this madman aspect more and more of your boy Jake Roberts. There we go. There we go. And just to backtrack a little bit, throwback. Want to go to one of your super chats that you gave in earlier. Sorry, when we were talking about Kross and Scarlett, he said with Kross and Scarlett being in NXT and Gargano and Candice there as a couple, do you see the possibility of them meeting down the line? Sure. I mean, unless. Clearly they're establishing. I think they're establishing Killer Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux as heels. You'd probably need to have a proper babyface couple down the line. I mean, it's not impossible. It's clear. It's a clear trajectory for Gargano and Candice to go after, because I mean they're sitting around saying. They're tweeting out, "Hey, we could have a match with Seth and Becky, anytime. That'd be fantastic." So that's one thing. But I think both couples have some building to do before we do get to that point. I think there's other feuds in there, but you know what? As they say, never say never.
Yeah!
Joe Cook, there you go, just left a super chat. Thank you very much, Joe. Can't watch the whole thing, just stopping by to say, keep doing what you're doing, Warren. I'll listen to the podcast tomorrow. Thank you very much for dropping in to show a little love there, Joe. I appreciate it. And we're going to wrap up the inspection this week. Some more cool beans, but we are going to talk about the Sex Gods versus Kenny Omega and Matt Hardy. Oof. This was a good one. My God, it was a good one. Here's the thing. I'm gonna have a little fun, and I'm gonna break this down because I dug this match so much. First and foremost, Pineapple Pete got a shot in at Jericho. He clocked him. And guess what that did? Next week, we're getting Chris Jericho versus Pineapple Pete. Right? The people's main event. The fight for the folks. You, me, this is the one we've been waiting for. Feud for the ages. Pineapple Pete versus Chris Jericho. God. AEW does such good things sometimes. Anyway, the match starts pretty and it's no DQ, no rules, everything's out the window. I mean, pretty much like every AEW match, if you ask me. Hey, No Particular Angle Podcast, GPQ, how you doing? So it starts off pretty well. Then at some point, Chris Jericho takes Matt Hardy up the ramp and backstage and sort of murders him there. But then Matt Hardy comes back out dressed up in a previous incarnation of Matt Hardy, more like the Team Extreme Hardy Boys get up. And with that, he does some Poetry in Motion with, or at least a knockoff of Poetry in Motion with Kenny Omega. He dives off a ladder onto Sammy Guevara through a table. So I like that. I dug it. And then eventually they all start brawling into the arena. And this is fantastic. Tom Collahue, what are you doing up at this time? How you doing? Welcome. Thanks for popping in. Okay. Once we get into the arena, this is when it starts getting a lot of fun. Despite the fact that Jake Hager is involved. That's a joke. Early on, we get an ice machine spot where they're fighting next to an ice machine. And when I say they, I mean Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho. And Hardy tries to shove Jericho into the ice machine. Hager's there to sort of cut him off. And Jericho pulls out this huge bag of ice and just cracks it across Matt Hardy's head. And then he stuffs Hardy into the ice machine, which was fantastic. I loved that. I guffawed when I saw that. Kenny Omega has a spot where Sammy Guevara tosses Kenny Omega onto an ATM. And then there's money that comes out of the ATM and Sammy Guevara sort of pockets it. Sammy Guevara is a thief. He's a thief. Omega gets a wet floor sign and he just he swings at Chris Jericho and the sign explodes. Then eventually it's broken Matt Hardy, the Damascus broken Matt Hardy that comes out of the ice machine, which I thought was perfectly ridiculous. And then he goes and he gets a golf cart or a cart of golf. He gets inside, starts it up, and starts driving it. He clips Chris Jericho with it. Sammy goes to check on Chris Jericho. Meanwhile, Kenny Omega gets into the cart. They sort of do a U-turn. Sammy realizes, look at these two maniacs. Matt Hardy, with that huge grin, his hair, his completely wild, untamed hair blowing in the wind, driving. You have Kenny Omega on the side of the cart just pointing at Sammy Guevara like, we're gonna get you. Guevara starts running for his life and he gets creamed. By it. It was fantastic. They eventually get Jericho onto a table next to a scissor lift, and Kenny Omega goes to climb onto the scissor lift, but before climbing on, he raises the scissor lift. The scissor lift is already like high enough, but no, like he brings it all the way up. He gets up on top. Hager comes over to get Jericho off the table. He starts fighting with Matt Hardy, and Omega does a moonsault off of it right onto the Inner Circle dudes on Matt Hardy. That was nuts. Santana and Ortiz show up. They interfere. They shield powerbomb Hardy through the table, and it's a Judas effect that puts that gets the win for the Inner Circle. And then at the end, they all stand next to the football field in Jacksonville, the arena. I don't know about football. I don't know what the name of the arena is, but they're in Jacksonville. And there's a view of the field. All of the Inner Circle are there. They're all flipping everyone off. And in the back, on the Trons in the back, it's Inner Circle. My God, if that wasn't an NWO moment right there, I don't know what that was. I loved this match. I loved it so much. It was wild, wild stuff. So much stuff going on, but great story, great combination of high spots and ridiculousness and comedy. It was so good. I loved it. Conrad, how you doing? It was, and Mags is there as well. Hey, how you doing? This was we've seen a couple of matches from AEW as far as empty arenas go, which has just been fantastic because everyone brings out the toys and there's a lot of people involved and it just becomes like this huge cluster. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's crazy when you think that this is the same company that gave us Jon Moxley versus Jake Hager, which was a snoozer. I think this is how you're reappropriating the empty arenas. Look, it was great. I loved it. It was a fun match. You guys. It's a good match, you guys. Fun stuff. There you go. We're going to wrap up the weekly wrestling inspection on that fantastic and also exhausted note. Oh, hello. Hey, folks, remember, if you want to leave a super chat, you can go right ahead and I will read your question, comment, or mood, whatever it is you want to communicate on right here on the show. And also, if you want to, and also you can join the channel as well on the main channel, youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. There's a join button. If you want to become a member of the YouTube channel, you can do that and you'll get some extra goodies if you join us live here in the chat, such as custom emojis that you can only use right here. That's cool stuff. But don't forget, once we're done here, we're going to head over to the Patreon for the post stream. That's also something cool to look forward to. I'm going to go touch back on Throwback's earlier super chat where he was asking about unionizing. Specifically, do you think that everything that's happening with COVID and WWE talent, the WWE talent outrage of it, do you think what do I think about the possibility that WWE might unionize like the NBA and NFL? Just some quick thoughts here. Some quick thoughts about it. I don't think that there's going to be I don't see any short-term unionizing happening here. And not in the short term. Might be something that'll happen down the road. And if you ask me, it's something that should happen for wrestlers everywhere. If you do recall, if you're a faithful member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show watch people group, you may remember a few months ago, I had Emily and Dan Reed, owners of Pro Wrestling Eve, who were here to talk about their own efforts or their own success in unionizing the wrestlers who perform for Pro Wrestling Eve. Pro Wrestling Eve performers are actually, they're under a union in the UK called Equity, which is a performing arts union that covers that covers performers of any shape, form, and of whether you're a dancer, a singer, an actor, and a professional wrestler. So things like, medical coverage, they have medical insurance, they have life insurance, all sorts of stuff like that. Plus, here's one of the things that's really, really important from it all is from becoming unionized. The wrestlers then are considered as performers, as entertainers. So once their career is up, they can more easily navigate the waters to try and find work within the entertainment business, because there's the stunt coordinators or fight choreographers or performers themselves. They can all get into this. When you're a wrestler, you learn quite a bit of a rather substantial amount of skills, not just the wrestling, not the tumbling, the timing, choreography, whatever you want to call it, but you also learn how to present yourself in front of a camera, how to speak, how to cut promos. And these are skills that aren't necessarily easily recognized when you come out as just a pro wrestler. But yet these are skills that if you hone and you work on during your craft, once your career is done, once your body says, hey, you know what, we're done here, well, you can transition into something else much more easily. If wrestlers were part of, let's say, the Screen Actors Guild, but that's a whole other, we're just we're just throwing a hypothesis out there. We're not actually saying this is what should happen. They would have access to a whole extra bunch of possibilities, openings for them. Wouldn't just be confined into professional wrestling. Unionizing would have tremendous benefits for wrestlers. It's something that should happen more and more. And kind of like what Throwback said in the chat here, in his super chat, the COVID situation, if anything, has exposed how vulnerable wrestlers are. I'm not necessarily talking about WWE superstars or even those who've been released. I'm talking about indie performers who don't have anything to fall back on, who don't have a fund available to them that they can that they can go and pick, just delve into to help sustain them, go get through some months, pay some rent. There would be a lot of positives to it. Maybe it might activate. Maybe this whole situation might reignite some passion to do it, but it's going to take it's going to be quite the battle. It's going to be quite the battle moving forward. So there we go. Thank you again, Throwback, for the super chat.
Hello, Warren. It is I, professional wrestling match bot.
Oh, hello.
I hope you are well.
I'm well.
I believe it is time for you to talk about your favorite professional wrestling matches for the month of April 2020.
Oh, okay.
According to my database of your tastes and proclivities in regards to professional wrestling, I believe the following matches are your favorite professional wrestling matches for the month of April 2020.
Okay.
Shall we begin? Okay. Here are your favorite professional wrestling matches for the month of April 2020. Kenny Omega vs. Trent Beretta from AEW Dynamite, April 1, 2020. Is this correct?
Yes, absolutely correct. I loved Kenny Omega versus Trent Beretta. It was, it's Kenny being Kenny. This is going to be one of these matches, these really unsung great matches, I think, from 2020 that we're not going to be talking about in a few months, but it was so good. Kenny was on fire. Trent Beretta, I've been hammering this home on the podcast, and I'm going to keep hammering it home. I really hope we get to see a proper singles run for Trent at this stage in his career, because in this match, he was...
Okay. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley from WrestleMania 36, April 4th, 2020.
Sure.
Is this correct?
Absolutely correct. I found that Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley was quite possibly the absolute best match, wrestling match that we got that weekend. The pace that they both worked was fantastic. Charlotte wanted to win. You know, she was hungry for it. Rhea had something to prove. She had a chip on her shoulder. She wanted to pull it out. To me, like, as far as wrestling goes, this was the best match.
This is correct.
Yes,
Thank
it is.
you.
Okay.
The Firefly Funhouse match from WrestleMania 36, April 4th, 2020. Is this correct?
Absolutely. How could you not love the Firefly Funhouse match from WrestleMania? Not a match per se, but you know what was great here is that, you know, it was WWE giving something to the fans, thinking outside of the box and being creative with something that just blew our minds, something that rewarded you for watching wrestling for such a long time. WWE doesn't usually do that, doesn't reward its fans. It has a tendency to erase history, retcon stuff. This was such fantastic storytelling. I have a whole, in case you didn't know, I have a whole breakdown of the Firefly Funhouse match right here on the channel that you should go check out.
Thank you. Hikaru Shida versus Britt Baker from AEW Dynamite, April 8th, 2020. Is this correct?
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite women's matches in AEW so far. Shida and Baker both brought it. Baker works so well as a heel, both in her persona and in the ring as well. She is so convincing. Hikaru Shida is, without a shadow of a doubt, the best, most well-rounded female wrestler they have. This was such a good match. We didn't deserve that good a match.
Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa from NXT, April 8th, 2020. Is this correct?
It is absolutely
correct.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes,
Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian versus Best Friends from AEW Dynamite, April 29th, 2020. Is this correct?
Yes, I loved Havoc and Kabian versus the Best Friend. Havoc and Sabian, not Kabian, Kip Sabian. Was it? Yeah, it was last week. You know, not unlike the match that we had last night with that went into the arena with the Sex Gods and Havoc, not Havoc, but Hardy and Omega. This was a wild match. Toys everywhere, things going on all the time. I loved it. It was wild. I thought Jimmy Havoc was a lot more in his element, which is good. Because I think he's floundering without really an identity. Kip Sabian looked great, and the Best Friends, my God, they are so good.
Thank you. This concludes the list of your favorite professional wrestling matches for the month of April 2020. I hope you continue to enjoy professional wrestling and professional wrestling matches.
Okay.
Yes. Good night, Warren.
Thank you very much, and good night, professional wrestling match bot. Okay. So those were my favorite matches from April this year. One more subject I want to touch on after all of this. I want to say hello to Madukt, who's in the chat. Hello, how you doing? The AEW has started announcing, as of last night, matches for Double or Nothing, which is going to be a little towards the end of the month. These are the matches that we have announced so far. Cody Rhodes versus Lance Archer to determine those are going to be the finals of the TNT Championship Finals. Jon Moxley versus Brody Lee, which was set up last night for the AEW World Championship. We're going to have NJF versus Jungle Boy. a casino ladder match. Everything has to be casino or gambling, or it always has to do with chips and gambling and not the kind of chips that you can that you know. I gotta stop with the shtick now for a second. So yeah, basically this is what we have. Jericho. So we have this. So we have the casino ladder match. We don't know exactly what that's going to imply. Probably the winner will earn a future shot at the AEW World Title, right? And then still in the lead up to this, we're gonna have Chris Jericho. Not Chris Jericho. We're gonna have. Why do I keep talking about Chris Jericho? We're gonna have a women's 4-way next week. Fatal 4-way on Dynamite, which will probably have title implications for Double or Nothing, because Nyla Rose is probably going to defend the title. So we're going to see how that goes. And you sort of, that's your card so far, right? That's what we have. And I'm not going to lie, today, the day after they started announcing matches on here right now, as I'm recording, May 7th, it's a bit of a hard sell, isn't it? It's a bit of a hard sell. I don't think there's a marquee match here. I don't think there's anything here so far that screams, I want to buy this pay-per-view. And I know that in the United States, the price of AEW pay-per-views is $50, right? That's a high price. That's very, very high. And you know, as much as I like all of the performers that have been announced so far, MJF, Jungle Boy, Jon Moxley, Brody Lee, Cody Rhodes, Lance Archer, there's no big time match here that makes me want to buy this pay-per-view. And Chad, feel free to talk about it as well, right? Let me know what you think about how Double or Nothing is shaping up at this point, right? Like as of today. Cody versus Lance Archer has potential to be really good, and it has ultimate stakes, right? The TNT Championship, which I think is a big deal, which I also think Cody should win. But it lacks that big star power stuff. Archer, as fantastic as he is, as much of a huge presence that he is, still fairly new on the AEW roster. Not necessarily one of the most over guys in the company right now. Cody, arguably one of the top 3 over guys in the company. Moxley and Brody Lee. Mox, huge. People love him. He's the champ. And again, Brody Lee, it's not that he's a bad wrestler. Not that he's untalented. Not that he sucks. I like Brody Lee. I've always liked Luke Harper. That's not the problem. Just no build, right? We're not there yet. It feels very Dynamite-ish as a main event goes. MJF versus Jungle Boy, they'll probably make something fun out of this. We've got weeks to build up, but right now, I mean, MJF is winning. You know what I mean? So there's that taken away. The ladder match might be interesting, but we don't know who's in it yet. And I'm okay with that. But until we know who's in it, there's no reason to get excited about it. Now, you're probably so that's the card for $50. What's your main event for this card? Chad, what do you think the main event is? I think the only main event you really go with is Cody versus Lance, because I don't think Moxley and Brody Lee is big enough to make it happen. Cody and Lance it has the most story, it has the most build up, it has this most intriguing stakes, the tournament, the new championship. But as it stands right now, I know there's some people who are angry online. I know there's people online right now who are very, very angry at the idea of paying $50 for this, and they're not entirely wrong. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because this is not the final card. It's still going to build. we still have stuff, because look, here, Chris Jericho hasn't been announced for the card yet. Neither has Sammy Guevara, the Young Bucks, Santana and Ortiz, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, Matt Hardy, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy. These are all people who haven't been announced. I know that there might be some people who might not want to show up because of the coronavirus, like the Bucks, like Hangman. That's fine. But I'm just saying, there's all these people, all this nice, wonderful chunk of talent that hasn't been announced yet. So I'm thinking you put Sammy, you put Darby, Orange, Omega, you put Santana and Ortiz in a ladder match. You got 6 guys for a ladder match, and that'd be a hell of a treat. That would be one fine match. I'd be completely down with that. I know there's some people who are saying, well, hey, we Lucha Bros, but the travel bans are still in place, folks. The Lucha Bros are still at home. They're not going anywhere. Dark Order's in Canada. There won't be any Pac either. But I'm not saying that, we're missing out on stuff. There's still such a fantastic chunk of talent here that hasn't been announced that could still bring something fantastic to the card. Just thinking that Omega and Jericho haven't been announced yet, and we know they're on the circuit. They're okay with the coronavirus. It's not a problem. These guys are going to end up on the card in one fashion or another, and that's going to make it interesting. That's going to be really, really cool. Darby Allin in a ladder match, I think it's a natural fit. There's still a lot more to come. But you can't help but feel a little underwhelmed right now. And I think it's normal. I think it's normal for fans to feel a little cheated. Maybe not cheated, but a little underwhelmed, a little disappointed, especially considering that the pay-per-view is usually very expensive. It's a hard sell at this point. It's a hard sell. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. They don't have access to all their roster yet. They have, from all reports, they have about 60% of the roster available, which is good, because previous to that, they had like 30%. When they pre-taped everything, they had about 30% of the roster. Now they have about access to 60%. And until the travel bans are done, well, there's some top tier talent that just can't make it either. So that said, I give them a pass because I also understand the context in which they're building this. And on the other hand, you can't help but feel disappointed again because Double or Nothing was the first AEW branded pay-per-view, right? That was the big one last year. After the announcements that AEW was being set up and everything, this was like the first AEW gathering. There's something special about Double or Nothing, just like there's something special about All Out, All In, whatever you want to call it. It's unique. You kind of want it to be more than just a super card, because that's what it's building up to be, really. A super card, as opposed to a full-blown pay-per-view extravaganza. But they still have time. And that's it. They still have time, so we'll see. We'll see how things go moving forward. And one last thing I want to talk about before moving out here. I talked about this on the Patreon, patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. And people who are on the Patreon know that, sometimes I drop some thoughts, I record some audio about some things that are happening. And sometimes those subjects end up on the mainstream on Thursday evening. So sometimes, you're a part of the Patreon, you'll get a little glimpse at what I'm going to talk about on Thursdays. And I want to talk about Roman Reigns really quickly. Yes, it was very, very strange that Roman Reigns was cut out of the number one Money in the Bank moment from this Monday on Raw, where Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase to make the main event of WrestleMania 31 a triple threat. a main event that was Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. It was odd that it was cut, that Roman was completely cut out, and that the event was cut to give the impression that Seth Rollins had defeated Brock Lesnar for the title, which was not the case. He stomped Lesnar out of the ring, but he defeated Roman Reigns for the title. So yes, that was strange. And this sort of ties into some conspiracy theories that people have been having in regards to Roman being taken out of Make-A-Wish promo videos that the WWE has done, being edited out of those. Apparently commentary received an order saying that they can't mention the name Roman Reigns on air at all. I didn't put much stock into that because on one hand, commentary gets those kind of orders. I wouldn't say frequently, but we've heard them before for performers that are supposed to be completely off TV for a while. They'll get the orders like, you can't use their name, kind of like what they did with AJ Styles, just like they did with AJ Styles here. He wasn't mentioned over the past couple of weeks, and then poof, he comes back up. So that's not a big deal. Make-A-Wish, though, WrestleMania 31, it's weird. But here's one thing that I think we all need to come together on here. There's a very fair chance that, an extremely high chance that Roman Reigns isn't going anywhere. He's not terminating his relationship with WWE. I don't think this is a Roman to AEW confirmed scenario. I really don't. I think Roman is taking some time off. His wife is pregnant with twins, and he has his own leukemia issues. I think it's very, very wise of him to not go out into the wilderness and start playing pretend wrestling, pretend fighting with other people, getting all sweaty and whatnot, and going in airports and shit like that. I think it's very, very wise on his part to not do that. Well, he doesn't go to airports. Well, anyway, you know what I mean. No traveling, no exposure. I think it's very wise. But Roman is a lifer. It's just as simple as that. And if anything were to come out of this, if there's any switch, and I'm not saying that this is happening, but if there was any change in Roman's relationship with WWE, I believe it would be simply on a basis that Roman would probably become a part-timer, would probably try to send feelers out to Hollywood and position himself. The guy he's huge. He's got very natural charisma. He's a natural talker. He handles himself like a pro when it comes to media, when it comes to junkets and interviews. The guy is fantastic. He's a natural at it. Why wouldn't he get some acting lessons in and go down the Batista route? I'm not saying that he's going to become as big as The Rock or even as Batista, but there is room for a guy like him because he's got way too much upside. And maybe if there were to be any change, and I'm not saying that there is, but if this was an indication of anything, if it was an indication of a change in the relationship that Roman Reigns has with WWE, that would be my feeling. Roman taking a break from WWE, entering a different type of schedule, trying to enter different areas of entertainment for himself, rather than continue down with pro wrestling for a bunch of reasons that we just don't know. We don't know what's going on, and this could all be a work. It'd be a very strange work. My feeling is that there's something weird going on. But I tell you guys, I don't think it's a situation. I don't think it's a situation where Roman cuts ties with WWE, but if so, it's going to be a shock, and it is going to be the biggest news that we have had for such a long time. And on that note, I'm going to start wrapping things up here because I've talked a lot this evening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys had a good time. I had a good time. I had a really, really good time. I want to thank you all for showing up this evening, but I also want to thank my patrons who are going to come join me after this live stream for the post stream over on patreon.com/MrWarrenHayes. But I do want to thank my patrons: Tim Traver, Throwback, Sean, Sarah, Rob Wilkins, Nick Wolf, Marcos Munoz, Lucid 420, Kristen Ashley, John Washaba, Jeff Brown, Jamie Small, Jake Schwal, Harmony, Donald Gold, DGMC, Clayton Macy, Chris Greenlee, Blue Riot, Big Puzz on a Pup, Ben Parizet, and Andrew Nally. Thank you all so very much, and thank you all. If you made it to the very end here, go into the comments, let me know. Here's our secret code, our secret word for today. If you made it to the very end of this video here today, go in the comments and write golf cart in the comments, and I'll know that you are something special because you made it the whole way through right here with Mr. Warren Hayes on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show this Thursday evening. I want to thank you again, everyone, for joining this evening. Thank you, everyone who became a member this evening as well. Hope you all have a wonderful week. I'll be back on Fightful, on the Fightful channel tomorrow evening for the SmackDown recap. And don't forget, Saturday morning, Foul Original will be joining me here, 11 a.m., Money in the Bank prediction show. Be sure to be here because it's going to be a good time. And I'll see you next time.